Hello and welcome to Dining with Death. This episode is on our playlist, Dining with the Departed, where we talk about famous or infamous people, their lives, what they're famous for, and we eat their favorite food. I'm Stacey Lee. Let's begin. This episode was requested by viewer Moni Boo. I also have to put a trigger warning on it because we are going to discuss mental illness, anxiety, depression, and people who choose to end their lives. So if that's a sensitive subject for you, I would suggest turning away. Catherine Noel Valentine Brosnahan Spade, known as Kate Spade, was born on December 24th, 1962 in Kansas City, Missouri, to June and Francis Brosnahan. She attended Catholic school and then University of Kansas and Arizona State University. She graduated with a degree in journalism in 1985, hoping to find work in television production. When she was in college, she worked in sales at Carter's Men's Shop, a men's clothing store in Phoenix. There she met Andy Spade, who, yes, is the brother of actor David Spade and who later became her husband and business partner. In 1986, Kate and Andy moved to Manhattan. Kate worked at Mademoiselle magazine until 1991 after achieving the rank of senior fashion editor. While working as the accessories editor for Mademoiselle, she noticed that the market lacked stylish, affordable, and sensible handbags, so she decided to start creating her own. Kate was a fun-loving person, and later in her life she said, "I hope that people remember me not just as a good businesswoman, but as a great friend and a heck of a lot of fun." She and Andy had a great relationship and really leaned on each other in these early years. In 1993, Kate and Andy founded Kate Spade New York. She and Andy weren't married at the time, but she chose to use his last name on the label. She made 6 prototypes with paper and Scotch tape and took them to a manufacturer in East New York who was willing to work with her to produce the bags. Later on, she used potato sacks to make mock-ups when she played around with new ideas for her bags. Kate and Andy hired a few employees and often had to pay them out of Andy's 401k pension plan. Kate was very upset after her first trade show when she didn't sell enough product to even cover the cost of the booth rental, but Andy was there to support her and she didn't give up. He reminded her that at that same trade show, she had taken in some big orders and those orders helped lead to her success. The Browns started having some small success, and during shipping seasons, the couple's apartment was so full of boxes that they had to stay with friends. Early on in the Browns' creation, Barney's ordered a few of Kate's bags, and she did something to those bags that would forever set her apart. She put the label on the outside of the bag. She had the idea last minute and stayed up all night, removing the labels from the insides of the bags and affixing them to the front instead. Her labels were also unique because all of the writing was in lowercase. Putting them on the outside of the bags became her iconic look. The bags ranged in price from $150 to $450 and very quickly became popular, especially in New York City. Everyone had a Kate Spade bag. They were fun and youthful, and they were affordable. I remember when I started seeing these bags, I became obsessed. That hot pink and orange box with the gold trim, that was the gift. That was the box women wanted to see as a present. Kate often said that every time she saw a woman carrying one of her bags, she was giddy. She said that feeling never got old. Around this same time, I was very heavily invested in my music career, and I would perform on the weekends. And then during the week, I would sometimes do catering, I would cook, and I would sew. I loved Kate Spade bags so much, but a lot of people can't really afford $150 for a bag. So I decided I was going to create kind of my own little knockoff line of Kate Spade bags. And for years, I sewed these bags. I wanted to find a couple of them for you. I still have them, but they're in storage. I've got some photographs I'm going to put up, but they were just kind of a rip-off of Kate's bags, but I sold them for about $35 a piece. I would go to trade shows and I would sell them, along with my CDs and my merch on the weekends, and people seemed to really like them. I called my handbags Lala Designs, and believe me, everyone that I knew had a couple of Lala handbags. People loved Kate's bags because they looked sophisticated, but they weren't stuffy and formal. This bag, called the Sam bag, it was all the rage. It was sleek and boxy and clean looking, and people love it. Teenagers carried them, young women carried them, older women carried them, and they became all the rage. In 1996, Kate Spade opened its first boutique in Manhattan's trendy Soho district. Kate also created 2 brand extensions called Kate Spade Saturday for casual designs and Jack Spade for men's designs. Kate was known to be a little obsessed with jewelry, but not what you're thinking. She told an interviewer, "I don't wear real diamonds or anything. I love costume jewelry. I buy so much fake jewelry, it's funny. I like having pieces that no one else has." But even with her love of fake jewelry, Kate cherished a set of expensive pearls given to her by Andy. She told him, "Don't buy me expensive pearls. I'm just a normal pearl girl. Do not go to Mikimoto." Well, of course, that's exactly where he went, and he purchased Kate those expensive pearls, and she loved them. Are you paying attention, guys? In 1999, she sold 56% of her business to Neiman Marcus, and the brand was expanded worldwide. She then spent years launching home design items like wallpaper, bedding, china, table decor, flatware, everything designed for your home, and the brand grew. Kate also began publishing books and wrote 3 individually called Manners, Occasions, and Style. Her work won awards from the Council of Fashion Designers of America, from House Beautiful, Elle Decor, and Bon Appetit. She was inducted into the Entrepreneur Hall of Fame at the Henry W. Block School of Management at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. By the end of the 90s, Kate Spade was in over 450 stores nationwide, and she was a household name. What started in her little apartment with Scotch tape and paper had become an empire. In 2005, Kate and Andy's daughter, Frances Beatrix Spade, was born. People close to Kate said having a child really changed her perspective on work, and she decided that it was time to slow down. Kate was famous for drinking Pepsi for breakfast every morning, but says she added smoothies to her diet to become more healthy during this time. Kate tells a story of being with her young daughter in a Kate Spade store. The clerk asked, "Are you on our mailing list?" Her daughter kept nudging her mother to speak up, but she never did say who she was. I love that story. It really kind of shows her humility. Very cute. In 2006, she sold the remaining 44% share in her company to Neiman Marcus, and then Neiman Marcus sold the label to Liz Claiborne that same year for $124 million. Coach then later purchased the label in May of 2017. Kate was now worth around $200 million. After working so hard for decades and creating this million-dollar brand, Kate finally had time for herself to focus on her and her daughter. And that's exactly what she did. She took 9 years off of work, and during this time, she really enjoyed life and what she had worked so hard to create for herself, her husband, and her daughter. She also got very involved in supporting the work of other female designers and got involved in philanthropic work as well. She supported Women for Women International, an organization that aims to make women's lives better in places like Afghanistan, Bosnia, Kosovo, and Rwanda. She actually sold items that Rwandan women had designed in her shops. In 2016, Kate felt the itch to get back to designing. She launched a new collection of luxury footwear and handbags under the name Frances Valentine, a hybrid of her family names. The New York Times said of Kate, "She represents not just a terrific talent who built an idea about handbags into what became a billion-dollar brand, but a critical figure in the continuum of women who have defined fashion in the United States. Designers who thought about what other women like her would want in their closets and later in their homes. She solved that problem without elitism." I really think that's what people loved most about the Kate Spade brand. You felt special when you wore her work, but it was work made for real women. Yes, it was a little pricey for some, and yes, it was designer, but it was fun, and it was accessible, and it was fashion. Kate and Andy began to have some serious problems. The problems became so serious that Andy moved out and the couple separated, but not legally, and Andy later said they were never even discussing divorce. He said, "We were best friends trying to work through our problems in the best way we knew how." Andy said they loved each other dearly, but they simply needed a bit of a break and some time to work things out. Kate's struggles with depression are well documented. I won't go into a lot of the details, but the people close to her knew that she really had a hard time with depression and anxiety. On June 5th, 2018, a housekeeper entered the family's Manhattan apartment and found Kate Spade dead. She had died by hanging. She left a note that was addressed to her daughter, which has not been released to the public. The day after Kate's death, Andy released a statement that said, "Kate suffered from depression and anxiety for many years. She was actively seeking help and working closely with doctors to treat her disease, one that takes far too many lives. We were in touch with her the night before and she sounded happy. There was no indication and no warning that she would do this. It was a complete shock, and it clearly wasn't her. There were personal demons she was battling." Kate Spade was only 55 years old. Her sister later said, "I will say this, it was not unexpected by me. I'd flown out to Napa and New York City several times within the past 3 to 4 years to help her get the treatment she needed. Sometimes you simply cannot save people from themselves." Tributes poured in from celebrities who had worn and loved Kate Spade's work over the years. Magazines wrote articles dedicated to her. Fellow designers talked about how talented she was, and the fashion world mourned. Kate Spade was buried on June 21st, 2018, after the fashion world gathered for her funeral at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic Church in Kansas City, Missouri. You can always reach out at any time, 1-800-273-TALK, if you are struggling with depression, anxiety, and you need someone to speak with. Now, as we always do here on this channel, we talk about the element of food associated with the subject that we're discussing. Today, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. When I started researching Kate Spade, I found out that a lot of her designs were influenced by food. So instead of tasting her favorite foods, we are going to talk about the foods that influenced her design and look at some of her incredible work. Kate Spade designs were always chic and timeless, but they all had an element of playfulness to them, and a lot of that had to do with her love of all things food. She even told Guy Raz on NPR that her entire brand came to her at a Mexican restaurant. She said she and Andy were eating, and she said, "What about handbags?" Later in her career, Kate created a purse that looked just like a brown takeout bag from a taco joint. I love this bag that says "Eat cake for breakfast," and like I said earlier, potato sacks were used for her early patterns. She came very close to naming her company Olive instead of Kate Spade because she has such an affinity for olives, and she even made this adorable martini olive charm, which is still a fan favorite. This pineapple handbag, very classic Kate Spade, fun and cute, but in a chic way. This bag is called the Candy Stripe bag. This adorable bag is a cupcake. I think this one is so cute for a teenager or a really girly girl, just darling. This one is called the Shelly Wicker Crab Crossbody. This one is one of my favorites. The way she uses the eyes as a clasp, just genius design. Look at this guy. A lobster purse. A lobster purse. Here's another cupcake bag that was a limited edition called the Magnolia Cupcake Bag. This bag here is so iconic. It's been duplicated 1,000 times, but hers is the best. The Chinese takeout box handbag. This watermelon clutch is one of my absolute favorites. I love the clean lines and the simplicity of the form. This bag is called the Buzz Honey Pot Crossbody. It's just so playful and whimsical. I absolutely love the green apple bag. I'm running out of adjectives to describe them, but they're just all so cute. She made chocolate dipped strawberries. She made boxes of circus peanuts. She made lemons and ice cream and cakes and all kinds of beautiful designs influenced by food. Kate Spade was one of a kind. She was a woman who made things women love and things all people love. She was a visionary, she was an artist, she was an entrepreneur, and she was a hard-working wife and mother. She left behind a legacy of beautiful creations, and the world is a little bit darker without her making such bright, colorful, fun things for us to enjoy. Thank you for joining me today on Dining with Death, Dining with the Departed. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more. We sure do appreciate you. Stay safe and be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time on Dining with Death. Bye.